Don Lemon.
He is facing federal civil rights charges covering a protest at a church in Minnesota. He was arrested in L.A. and was released this afternoon. NBC4's Macy Jenkins joins us now live in our newsroom with the very latest on the case and also some remarks from Lemon himself tonight. Macy.
Well, Kathy, we are hearing from journalist Don Lemon after appearing in a federal courtroom this afternoon. He was arrested last night and is accused of conspiracy against the right of religious freedom over his news coverage of an anti-ICE protest in a Minnesota church. But the former CNN anchor says he was exercising his First Amendment right as a member of the free press and will not back down.
This shows you just how divided America is.
This is the moment in a Minnesota church at the center of federal civil rights charges against former CNN anchor turned independent journalist Don Lemon.
Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news.
Lemon walked out of a federal court in downtown L.A. Friday after a magistrate judge ordered him released on bond. A newly unsealed criminal indictment accuses him of conspiracy against the right of religious freedom and violating a federal law that prohibits people from interfering with the right to attend religious services. Lemon's attorney calls the move an unprecedented attack on the First Amendment.
I will not be silenced.
The indictment alleges Lemon was not just an observer at the January 8th church service in St. Paul, but an active participant who tried to intimidate and oppress the pastor. In Lemon's live stream inside, you can see him interviewing parishioners and a pastor who asks him to leave.
We're here to worship Jesus because that's the hope of these cities. That's the hope of the world is Jesus Christ. I have to take care of my church and my family, so I ask that you actually would also leave.
Lemon identified himself as a journalist multiple times.
I'm just chronicling. I'm not with the group. I'm a journalist. They're activists.
Lemon has been critical of the Trump administration, most recently over ICE operations in Minneapolis. Attorney General Pam Bondi speaking out in a video on Friday.
Make no mistake. Under President Trump's leadership and this administration, you have the right to worship freely and safely. And if I haven't been clear already, if you violate that sacred right, we are coming after you.
LA Mayor Karen Bass, one of many voices condemning Lemon's arrest.
He should not have been in court anyway. How far is this going to go? We have to draw the line in the sand and say we will not allow for the dismantling of our democracy.
Lemon's attorney says Don has been a journalist for 30 years, and his constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he has always done. Tonight on his YouTube show, Lemon told viewers he looks forward to his day in court. Prosecutors unsuccessfully tried to bring charges against Lemon a week ago and were overruled by two different judges. Now, their request for the LA judge to keep Lemon locked up today was denied. Three others, including a news producer, were also charged in the indictment. Lemon has been ordered to appear in court in Minnesota on February 6th. Reporting live in the newsroom tonight.
That would be Georgia Ford. You know, it's crazy. I've been hearing rumors, I'm named sources as well, that people that are going around bashing on or protesting or bashing on, tarnishing on ICE agents, police officers, law enforcement, Trump administration, and they're saying that people are going to be investigated and be facing charges for bashing on ICE, law enforcement, Trump administration, and MAGA.
Independent journalist Don Lemon appeared in federal court this afternoon to face charges related to a live streaming report he did at a protest during a church service in St. Paul, Minnesota. Here's what he told reporters afterwards.
Last night, the DOJ sent a team of federal agents to arrest me in the middle of the night for something that I've been doing for the last 30 years, and that is covering the news. The First Amendment of the Constitution protects that work for me and for countless of other journalists who do what I do. I stand with all of them, and I will not be silenced. I look forward to my day in court.
Well, along with Don Lemon, 3 other people were arrested, including Minnesota independent journalist Georgia Fort. She went before a judge today. She joins us tonight. We'll have that interview in a moment. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the arrests are connected to a, quote, coordinated attack on City's church nearly 2 weeks ago. But Lemon and Fort say they were doing their jobs as journalists and were not protesters. All 4 arrested are charged with 1 count of conspiracy against right of religious freedom at place of worship and 1 count of injure, intimidate, and interfere with exercise of right of religious freedom at place of worship. In announcing their arrests on social media this morning, Bondi used the words, quote, at my direction, which is not what you typically see from an attorney general. The White House has posted this photo with the words, when life gives you lemons, along with a chain emoji. President Trump has been critical, obviously, of Don Lemon for years. Lemon himself has not been shy in calling out the president and his administration. A magistrate judge had initially refused to allow federal officials to arrest Lemon and take him into custody, but they took it to a grand jury in Minnesota and got a felony indictment. The indictment, unsealed this afternoon, alleges that Don Lemon and the others charged, quote, oppressed, threatened, and intimidated the church congregants and pastors. Here's some of what Lemon said during that live stream. Take a look.
That's bull crap. They never.
I'm just here photographing. I'm not part of the group. I'm just here photographing. I'm a journalist. We don't know. That's what they're saying. So we're here just chronicling and reporting. We're not part of the activists, but we're here just reporting on them.
Don Lemon's attorney released a statement saying in part, quote, this unprecedented attack on the First Amendment and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court. When agents showed up at Georgia Fort's door yesterday, she started recording. Here's some of her message.
You guys, I wanted to alert the public that agents are at my door right now. This is all stemming from the fact that I filmed a protest as a member of the media. We are supposed to have our constitutional right of the freedom to film, to be a member of the press. I don't feel like I have my First Amendment right as a member of the press because now federal agents are at my door arresting me for filming the church protest a few weeks ago.
It was a live stream she did on Facebook. Journalist Georgia Fort is out of jail and joins me tonight. Georgia, first of all, how are you doing? And were you surprised that you were arrested? Obviously, previous attempts to arrest you had been blocked by federal courts.
Yeah, I'm hanging in there. It is quite frightening to have 24 agents outside of your home. My children were home with me when I was arrested. And so, it's been a long day. And yes, it was extremely shocking.
You had 24 agents show up at your door?
Yes.
I want to read part of what the Justice Department alleged in the indictment and let you respond. They claim, and you and the other defendants, quote, entered the church in a coordinated takeover-style attack and engaged in acts of oppression, intimidation, threats, interference, and physical obstruction, they said, and, quote, as a result of defendants' conduct, the pastor and congregation were forced to terminate the church's worship service. Congregants fled the church building, fear for their safety. Other congregants took steps to implement an emergency plan, and young children were left to wonder, as one child put it, if their parents were going to die. What is your reaction to that?
Anderson, I am a journalist, just like you. I went in my capacity as a journalist. I documented as a journalist. The footage is published. It speaks for itself.
You captured video of your own arrest, federal agents outside your home. Can you just talk about that experience?
That's better than Bouillon Magic.
As journalists, we never want to be the story, but unfortunately, I did find myself in a predicament where I felt that I needed to be able to tell my own story, that I needed the world to see that journalism is on trial, that we are at a state in our nation where if you are documenting what's happening, you may be criminalized for it. You may be arrested. And so I think what is happening in Minnesota overall should be quite alarming to the entire nation. I think what happened to me today as an independent journalist, what happened to Don Lemon being arrested for reporting what's happening, I think people should be alarmed. And I think mainstream media should also be really concerned because if they can criminalize a journalist here in Minnesota, whether you're independent or not, I think that we've seen a track record where this is just going to continue to escalate.
Well,
how do you face something like this? I mean, obviously, the federal government has unlimited resources. What is your next move, both legally and just in terms of the work you do?
You know, I am a mother of 3 daughters. Right now, my focus is on making sure that they can recover from the trauma of what they experienced today and making sure that I can recover. From there, I have an incredible legal team, very reputable among media leaders across the country. And so I am counting on them to do what they do best.
You have no doubt that this is meant to intimidate not just yourself and Don Lemon and the others who were charged, but journalists everywhere.
I would ask you, how does it feel to you to see a journalist arrested for simply reporting the news? I would challenge every journalist in America to ask themselves how it felt to them today to see their colleagues be arrested for reporting the news. And if any of them say that it made them fearful, it made them concerned, it made them second guess going out tomorrow and covering what's happening in their communities, then yeah, I would say that that was probably the intent. It does send a chilling message to our entire industry. I've been in journalism for several years. I've been in media almost 2 decades, okay? 14 regional Emmy nominations across 2 different regions. I've won 3 regional Emmys here in the Midwest, producing my own television show as an independent journalist. And so, you know, being a journalist who's from here, who's from Minnesota, I've been on the ground. This is my community. I'm not flying in and flying out. I'm here, and I'm doing the best that I can to tell the stories of what's really happening. And as an American-born citizen, it's always been my understanding that I have that protection under the Constitution, under the First Amendment, that we have a freedom of press. But today, the way that I was treated for simply doing my job, the way that I have been criminalized and dehumanized, it makes me really, really wonder if our Constitution is something of the past and if it's just a thing made up of empty promises at this point, honestly.
Are you intimidated? If that's the objective, which it certainly seems to be.
I will continue to tell the stories of my community.
Georgia Ford, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
I mean, look at our Constitution. Our Constitution is in jeopardy. You got people like MAGA and the Trump administration and these righties. They want to abolish our Constitution. They want to abolish the First Amendment. They want to get rid of the Second Amendment so you can't open carry. Like, look at Alex Preddy. They want to abolish the Third Amendment, Fourth Amendment, where you have the right to have in possession your papers, personal properties, and effects. They want to forego that, like, that you could, I mean, like, when you out there, you don't consent to illegal searches here. You have the right to Fifth Amendment, right from inside. Sixth Amendment, Eighth Amendment, Ninth Amendment, 10th Amendment, 14th Amendment.
Don Lemon, journalist Georgia Fort, arrested by the Department of Justice. I have background and additional information. Here's a reminder.
So, news organizations, stop selling out your journalists. Let them report on the news. Stop trying to move the journalism in the direction of Republicans or MAGA or this administration. And if you were trying to do it to the left, I would say the same thing, but that's not what's happening. Nobody's trying to move anything to the left. But you're trying to move things to the right. Not only is it unseemly, it's un-American. And you don't deserve to be a journalist or in the business of journalism if you do that. So, look, I stand proud and I stand tall. This is not a victory lap for me because it's not over. They're going to try again, and they're going to try again. And guess what? Here I am. Keep trying. That's not going to stop me from being a journalist. You're not going to diminish my voice. Go ahead, make me into the new Jimmy Kimmel if you want. Just do it.
And I know what he's talking about when they say, make me into the new Jimmy Kimmel. Remember when they signed Jimmy Kimmel, they suspended him for a month because he was speaking against Trump? Yeah. They suspended him. And this is what's happening. This is exactly what's happening. If you speak against Trump, if you speak against Kristi Noem, Caroline Leavitt, yeah, Megyn Kelly, if you speak against the Trump administration, if you speak against ICE, law enforcement, you will be censored. You will be silenced at any cost. This is what they're trying to do.
I'm not going anywhere.
This goes beyond journalism. Don Lemon was arrested for talking.
And I know there's people out there who...
This goes beyond journalism. Don Lemon was arrested for telling the truth. This goes beyond journalism. Another journalist who dared to tell the truth, Georgia Fort, was arrested as well. Here it is.
You guys, I wanted to alert the public that agents are at my door right now. They're saying that they were able to go before a grand jury sometime, I guess, in the last 24 hours, and that they have a warrant for my arrest. I've talked to my attorney, and I'm being advised to go with them, I guess, down to Whipple. And my children are here. They're impacted by this. This is all stemming from the fact that I filmed a protest as a member of the media. We are supposed to have our constitutional right of the freedom to film, to be a member of the press. I don't feel like I have my First Amendment right as a member of the press because now federal agents are at my door arresting me for filming the church protest a few weeks ago. Again, I don't have a long time here, you guys, but I wanted you to know, for me, agents are at my door right now. My attorney has spoken with them. I did send a relative outside to talk to them. They're showing some type of documentation, apparently, that they got an indictment from a grand jury. I knew that I was on a defendant's list. I did not publish it because it was under seal. And so we've done everything that we can to try and abide by, the advice of our attorneys. But right now, you guys, I wanted you to know I'm going to have to hop off here and surrender to agents as a member of the press. I filmed the church protest a few weeks ago, and now I'm being arrested for that. It's hard to understand how we have a constitution, constitutional rights, when you can just be arrested for being a member of the press. We've seen all these violations. All right, you guys, I gotta go. They're knocking.
Yep, she's coming right now.
Give me 1 second.
This is a damn shame. Put it up. To Georgia Fort, you have not lost your First Amendment right. It is being challenged. And we will meet the challenge because we understand that you are the personification of everyone who loves and respects freedom of speech. Once again, it's bigger than journalism. This is not about journalism. This is about people who are willing to tell the truth, period. Nothing else. When Dr. King led marches from Salem to Georgia, it wasn't about journalism. It was about telling the damn truth. When Bull Connor
when you tell
decided to
they're going to try anyway to
brutally attack black folk, and our civil rights icons made sure cameras were there, it wasn't about journalism. It was about telling the truth so that everyone can see the reality, the mirror of what America has become. You can say America is not a racist country.
Well, that's kind of like that. See, that's why people don't like me or Shizzle or JD or Anthony Cruz or Gomez, because we speak the truth. We come with facts, receipts, and documents. So we don't go around like the NTMs, the fellow families, the Scotties, all that. I don't care, or the UDs. I don't care. They can speak all like that. They don't speak truth. They just all that. We're not trying to silence it. It's these rhetoric, piss brain, mushroom gobbler hobnobblers, especially you got the megas that want to silence people for speaking the truth.
We can have that debate if you choose. That debate is long gone. You don't hear the echoes of black Republicans singing the same tune they were singing when Trump was running. They've either silenced or they have changed their mind. It should be clear now. And for those who voted for Trump, I didn't hear you vote for this. I heard you talk about things like free speech absolutist.
Yeah,
I heard you talk about less government intrusion, not more.
No,
I heard you
free speech, let it go.
Talk about the culture
he sure turned a 360 on that, huh?
That we're in, and how that culture doesn't work for everybody. Even though I could disagree with you on the finer political points, I did hear you talk about locking up individuals for talking. Twitter full mess journalist Don Lemon, Georgia Ford, arrested Thursday night.
I mean, it's bad enough. I mean, you got
and Friday morning, respectively, in connection with a protest at a church led by local activists, not them, against immigration enforcement. They documented it. The arrest comes nearly 2 weeks after Lemon was at an anti-immigration protest that disrupted a service at a church in Minnesota. A source familiar with the matter said a grand jury was impaneled on Thursday. They did this because they could not get a judge to sign the warrant. The FBI and Homeland Security investigations, a law enforcement agency within the Department of Homeland Security, were involved in the arrest, according to the sources. Bondi said in a statement shared to social media that, quote, at my direction, early this morning, federal agents arrested Don Lemon,
top gobbler she is,
Traherne Jean Cruz, Georgia Fort, Jamil Liddell Lundy, in connection with the, as they term it, coordinated attack on City's Church in St. Paul, Minnesota. Cruz is a former candidate for St. Paul mayor and the State House of Representatives, as well as a co-founder of Black Lives Matter Minnesota.
Man, I'm not Pam Chick. She's the type of chick.
Mr. Lundy is an attorney
probably the type of chick
with the local county and current DFL candidate for Minnesota Senate District 65.
Alex Preddy got this where he deserved. Donteray got what he deserved.
Lemon's lawyer confirmed he was taken into custody by federal agents. This happened on Thursday night in Los Angeles, where he was covering this weekend's Grammy Awards. Quote, Don has been a journalist for 30 years.
30
and
years.
His constitutionally protected work in Minneapolis was no different than what he has always done. Lowe said in the statement, the First Amendment exists to protect journalists whose role it is to shine light on the truth and hold those in power accountable. There is no more important time for people like Don to be doing this work. Lowe said the Justice Department has focused on arresting Lemon instead of investigating the federal agents who killed Renee Good. Alex Pretty in Minnesota earlier this month.
Yep.
Calling it, quote, the real indictment of wrongdoing in this case, end quote. Another quote, this unprecedented attack on the First Amendment
and Alex Pretty.
and transparent attempt to distract attention from the many crises facing this administration will not stand. Don will fight these charges vigorously and thoroughly in court, he said. A source briefed on the investigation said Lemon faces charges of conspiracy to deprive others of their civil rights in violation of the FACE Act by allegedly interfering by force with the exercise of others' First Amendment rights. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
They are literally charging Don Lemon, Georgia Fort, and others with what they are doing against the American public. So here's why I won't stand. Every generation has had men like Trump. If it was personified through a sheriff named Bull Connor, or if it was personified through a racist named David Duke, it don't matter. Every generation has had to stand up to this. Now, we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to bind together above partisan politics and have an adult conversation about the kind of nation we actually want. This is, once again, beyond journalism. It's beyond partisanship. Do you really think Trump looks like your values? I'm talking to anyone. And if you say yes, well, you are an extreme racist bigot who cared nothing about constitutional rights, protections, rule of law, you are a lawless person. But if you are adverse to the values that Trump has decided to express in this administration now, it's time. It's time to say something. It's time to do something. It's time to shout. It's time to be boisterous, because all of us want our children to inherit a better country than what we inherited. And when we start talking about our children, we start talking about our sons and our daughters and our grandchildren, what kind of country do we want to leave them? Do we want to leave them a country where we say we left the country in their hands worse than when it was given to us? No, I refuse to stand for that. I refuse to allow that.
Coming up in today's show, a U.S.
stand for that. I refuse to allow that. Last week, a federal appellate court judge declined to order a lower court judge to sign arrest warrants for 5 people, including Lemon, in connection with the January 18th anti-ICE protest inside a church in St. Paul, Minnesota. However, one of the 3 appellate court judges said he felt there was probable cause to justify the arrest, according to the court filings and sources familiar with the matter. Now, I want to remind you, the justification scale is quite hypocritical. You're talking about an administration who supports
the judge probably doesn't believe in the First Amendment
individuals raiding the Capitol illegally during Trump term 1, giving them a pardon. Okay. Actual police officers are injured. You have police officers who died in the aftermath.
The Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment.
You have protesters who are harmed as well, and all done via an illegal act. Those same individuals in this administration want to tell you that the actual tragedy is Don Lemon, Georgia Fort, an attorney and someone seeking public office, they are the ones who are the actual threat, because they recorded protesters who peacefully protested something that we should all give a damn about. There's more. Multiple people have been charged in connection to the protest. When demonstrators entered St. Paul City's church after discovering that one of the pastors is an ICE official, the Justice Department had asked the appellate court to compel the U.S. District Court in Minnesota to sign the arrest warrants over civil rights charges alleging the defendants were unlawfully interfering with the churchgoers' constitutional protected freedom to practice religion. Just last month, Georgia Fort wrote a column for Newsweek entitled, "If the press does not defend its freedom now, it will lose it." In that column, she wrote the following: "Already the government has labeled more than 50 journalists as offenders. Investigative reporting is no longer simply contested. It is being publicly marked as suspect by the state. Being publicly labeled an offender by the government will undoubtedly diminish credibility and chill reporting. Imagine if such a list had existed when Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein were reporting for the Washington Post, exposing Watergate. Or when photojournalist David Jackson published the image of Emmett Till that forced America to confront the brutality of racial terror. Under the current White House's framework, that work would likely earn them an official government designation as offenders alongside Ida B. Wells and countless other truth tellers, whom history now celebrates. Journalism is on notice. This is a code red moment. The warning signs have been building for years. Over the summer, public outrage erupted after late-night host Jimmy Kimmel was abruptly pulled off the air following political pressure tied to his criticism of the Trump administration. His eventual reinstatement appeared to pacify much of the public, but the threat to press freedom did not disappear. It evolved, becoming quieter and more strategic. Banning one voice does not reshape an entire sector, but forcing reporters to weigh whether their names will be cataloged on an official government website for publishing facts that contradict an administration's narrative does. In that environment, the calculus changes. Editors hesitate. Newsrooms weigh exposure over public interest. Independent journalists without legal teams, corporate shields, or institutional protection face the sharpest edge of the risk. Truth is suppressed. This is not hypothetical. It is already happening. The most alarming question raised by this list is not simply who appears on it, but how those named may be targeted going forward. Will individuals who have been legally accountable for spreading demonstrably false information be included, such as Alex Jones? Or will this tool be used primarily to spotlight journalists who document constitutional, civil, and human rights violations carried out by the federal government itself? This is why the concept of neutrality in journalism must be re-examined. You cannot be neutral about the dismantling of democracy and still expect to be protected by it. You cannot be neutral while your audience's rights are violated and still expect their trust. And you cannot be neutral while the government strips away your press freedoms. Those freedoms must
jump in my new EV with me. I found it.
What did journalism school teach us about covering an authoritarian regime? For most of us, the answer is nothing. We were taught to be objective and neutral no matter what, that our ethics would protect us, that neutrality would keep us safe. To newsroom leaders, editors, publishers, and media executives, this is not about politics, it is about precedent. A government that labels journalists as offenders is criminalizing investigative reporting in practice and discouraging the very scrutiny democracy depends on. The press must respond collectively, refuse participation in state-sponsored blacklists, challenge them legally, name them publicly for what they are, Ignoring this will not make it go away. Minimizing it will not protect your reporters. And waiting for it to escalate further may come at a cost we cannot afford. The alarm is sounding. What the press does next will determine our freedom. Put them up full mass. All of these individuals have been arrested so far, from journalists, activists, lawyers, and political candidates. And that list might be growing. We are putting a stop to it by intent, by focus, by remedy, by resolve, and by the fact that we are light to this darkness. We are information to the misinformation. We are truth to the lies. We are wisdom to the foolishness. It seems daunting, I know. Every great leader has been targeted, or they became part of a revolution that was brought to them. And this is where we are. You are here. Do not allow your light to be muffled at all. Allow this energy to create strength inside of you, because we need every single person who can see to do. Make a difference now, for your sake, your family's sake, your children's sake, and your children's children's sake.
Heck yeah. And that's the thing about the First Amendment, is freedom of speech. Never let anybody trying to silence your voice. Never let people try to silence you trying to get the news out there. That's what freedom of speech is all about. First Amendment covers freedom of speech, having a voice, freedom of press, getting the news out. Freedom of assembly, to go out there to protest. Freedom of religion. You can be a Christian, Buddhism, Catholic, Mormon. It doesn't matter. And to petition your government, your grievance out there to change the law. With that said, I'm out here, my chop. Peace out. And hey, Northside Mania, fuck you. Go fuck yourself, Robert Denton. You creep, chomo, fucking child molester, rapist, motherfucker. Stay away from kids in your chomo van.